Good morning, Nicole.
Hi, good morning, Lisa. How are you?
I am doing well, and it's so good to be chatting with you once again. Um,
Same here. Thank you for inviting me again.
of course, and yesterday was the budget. It was read in Parliament. What were your thoughts? What are the big takeaways for you?
All right, what jumped out at me was the focus by the Honorable Minister on technology and eventually seeing TNT being a fully digital economy
Mm-hmm.
and country. So much so that with respect to public administration, he's now extended that ministry to include digital administration as well. So that is something that we can all look forward to. In terms of how goods and services are delivered by the various ministries. So that was something that was quite positive. And going from something I overheard you saying just before I came on,
Yes.
that certain things jolt an economy into a different direction. So this pandemic has sort of jolted the economy and how private sector actually operates. So we are almost forced to embrace technology and well, that couldn't come sooner, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. And well,
And besides that,
uh-huh. Go on. Mm-hmm.
right. So besides that, and the focus on technology, I always like to start with the numbers to see what they're presenting.
Yeah.
And obviously, the budget for fiscal 21, the Honorable Minister is expecting a deficit of $8.2 billion. In terms of revenue, the interesting thing, and it's similar to fiscal 20, was that oil companies, the tax revenues on profits from oil companies is not expected to be more than we would usually anticipate.
Yeah.
In that other companies, actually, there's the estimated revenue from taxes on income from other companies outside of the oil sector of 5.8 billion, and individuals like you and I, the tax on revenues from individuals is expected at 6.2 billion, estimated at 6.2 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with oil company, the estimated revenues is $2.8 billion.
Mm-hmm.
So we could see again, this is another year where a lot of the revenue is expected and budgeted to come from individuals and companies other than oil companies.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because I saw that hinted in the budget spotlight in terms of revenue from taxation. What about revenue from alternative sources outside of Trinidad and Tobago, in terms of taxation of the citizenry? Yeah? Um, I don't know,
Um,
from exports, for example. What are you seeing? Are you seeing any inroads in that regard?
well, with respect to that, I mean, I just want to home in on with respect to, for example, VAT, which is a problem area. That the revenue from that is expected to be approximately $7.4 billion.
Yeah.
And just digressing a little bit away from what you had asked, with respect to the property tax, he's estimated that the revenue from the property tax would be approximately $10 million.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right,
So
because yeah,
indirectly, I really didn't focus too much on the
on
taxes on
alternative
imports,
sources,
etc.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so
But
yeah,
the with respect to the imports on and duties and VAT, etc., on digital equipment, mobile phones, computers, etc.,
yeah,
that he has agreed and has put in place already the exemption from VAT and taxes on computers.
yes.
And based on his budget presentation, it seems that it would be extended to include removal of taxes on mobile and digital equipment. So that's all going to align itself in terms of the whole digital atmosphere that he intends to see within the public service and also private.
And I saw that there would be some VAT now on perhaps inelastic goods, luxury goods,
Yeah.
that we saw in the budget as well, expecting
Yeah.
revenue, perhaps a twofold strategy to increase revenue on one hand, but also to perhaps decrease the level of food import that we see.
Yes. Yeah, I think that is intent. I guess that's where he was going with that initiative, to actually ensure that those sort of luxury goods, for want of a better phrase, is now taxed at 12.5% if it wasn't already taxed at 12.5%.
Mm-hmm.
So that would just impact, I guess, what you would call the higher income earners. And generally, as they say globally, that sector, those high income earners, the impact is going to be very minimal to them.
Yeah. And also, I think, this is not particularly your area, but previously we were talking about the fact that our import or food import bill is so high,
Yeah.
so it's a deterrent, I would imagine, if the price with the VAT becomes, sort of out of a certain range, then we turn to local products, which would make sense if we're putting more money in the agricultural sector.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For the agricultural sector, in addition to the normal allocation for that sector, he has also pledged an additional $500 million as a stimulus package to
Yeah.
that sector to sort of encourage individuals or farmers, etc., into that sector.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all with from the perspective of ensuring our own food security.
Yeah. Nicole, so we're talking about some little changes that would affect the ordinary man in the street. So, for example,
Yes.
anyone earning 7,000 or more, or 7,000 per month or less rather, will be
Yeah.
exempt from income tax, as the personal tax allowance has been raised from 72,000 to 84,000. You want to comment?
Yes, it's been quite a while since he has made any adjustment to the personal allowance. So it was a welcome initiative for myself included. And I think that really, not much people I would have expected would have looked forward to such an initiative. But
Yeah.
having said that, we are all pleased with that additional income that we will take home on a monthly basis effective January 2021.
Yeah.
And that, I don't know how that will also align itself with the expected revenues that he's going to collect or budgeted from individuals. But yes, that was a good initiative on the part of the minister. I guess also recognizing the economic environment that is also affecting many individuals. So that extra little tax-free income in their pockets every month would more than be welcome to help out with the situation currently.
What about the sale of the gas stations? The announcement that NP gas stations will be sold and, first choice to the persons who currently have the license for them.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's, I guess, kind of probably in line with some sort of divestment, continuing along those lines. And it would put it in the private sector hands. So we're hoping that it would prove to be a good initiative. Um, I really don't see too much difference happening there. But where the impact is going to be felt when the prices of the fuel are no longer fixed then.
Yes.
Right now, we're not going to feel any impact because the energy prices, the oil prices are fairly low. So
Mm-hmm.
there is no adjustment. But with the removal of the subsidies, etc., and when and if oil prices, etc., increase, then we would all start to feel the impact with the fluctuating, the proposed fluctuating prices at the pumps.
Yeah. Before I let you
So that
go,
is something that we would eventually
yeah,
feel. Yeah,
I started seeing some comments about that, but as you said,
that
that
will hit our
it shouldn't
pockets.
be in
Yes.
the short term that we expect to see
Yeah.
any changes in
Yeah.
prices. Before I let you go, let's talk about homes. Yeah, we're seeing 25,000 homes on state land over the next 10 years.
Mhm.
And, 10,000 starter homes at a cost of $250,000 will be offered. A monthly payment of $925 with no down payment.
Mhm.
Any thoughts on the housing sector?
That's just an ongoing initiative whereby the government is trying to provide housing for low and medium income earners. having regard to the apparent shortage in houses for that particular sector.
Yeah.
That will also align itself with another initiative that he proposed, in that the stamp duty exemption for first-time homeowners would be increased from 1.5 million to 2 million. So any purchase price of a residential first-time homeowners residence less than $2 million, there would be no stamp duty. So
Right.
he's extended that from 1.5 to 2 million, and it's been quite a few years prior when he last adjusted that. So that also will support that initiative as well.
All right. Well, Nicole, it's always a pleasure chatting with you once again. And thank you so much for joining us this morning, taking us through some of the, the initiatives with regard to fiscal 21. And we're probably going to touch base with you again a little later on if we need to clarify anything further. Yeah?
No problem.
So thank you so much.
There were a lot of other measures that would work in the individual's favor and corporate.
Okay. Well, before I let you go, you want to share a bit of some of those measures?
Well, there was one in particular where the wear and tear, which is an allowance on capital investments by companies, where you are allowed to write off a percentage of the plant and equipment that you purchase every year.
Yeah.
So he's proposed to increase that to 30% from 25%.
Yeah.
So that's a kind of initiative that may hopefully would encourage businesses to go out now and invest in that piece of plant and machinery.
Ah, right. Mm-hmm.
And also in terms of technology, extending on the technology subject, there were initiatives for investment in tech type companies,
Mm-hmm.
and investing in digital and youngsters.
Animation and so on.
With respect to technology, there is an uplifted allowance tax deduction for companies that make that investment.
Yeah, I saw that.
So that's quite valuable as well, and it also aligns itself to the whole digital sort of environment that he looks to want to be heading into.
So we're clearly seeing the thrust is digitization of
Yes.
and which augurs well with regard to diversifying the economy away from
exactly.
oil and natural gas. Yeah. So Nicole, thank you so much. I think we touched a bit this morning. And I want to thank you very much for joining us once again. I was Nicole Joseph, Tax and Legal Services Partner of PwC Trinidad and Tobago on Budget Talks Now.